Hi there, this is Jasmine. Let me just get my presentation started here. So my presentation today is titled, Let Me Introduce You to Word Walls. So I will be introducing you to word wall. So what is a word wall? So a traditional word wall is a visual presentation within a classroom of a collection of words for students to use for a variety of activities. But mostly this is used for reading and writing. So word walls can come in a variety of presentations, but the most common traditional word wall includes an alphabetical arrangement of high frequency words, also known as sight words. Usually the teacher hangs these high frequency words under their first letter to remain on display for the remainder of the year. So I have an example of some traditional word walls. I'm just going to move myself up for this slide. I'm going to have to rearrange it a few times. So you can see here that these are two different ways to do a traditional word wall. They're both very bright. They're both using high frequency sight words, and they kind of used a different strategy for color coding the words. So that's just an example for you, so you have an idea when I talk about it. Sorry. So how does a word wall improve reading? So there are many benefits to utilizing word walls in your classroom. Not only does the traditional word wall provide another opportunity to expose students to high frequency words, it provides visual learners with a space in the classroom directly geared towards them. This repetition in the classroom visually provides students with the words, allowing them to read them over and over again, to use them easily in their writing, to learn how to spell them, and allow them to make connections to the meaning of the words. So comprehension. So how does this strategy help us as teachers? So I've broken this down into two areas. The first, what areas of reading development are used? So word walls allow students to build foundational skills around vocabulary and vocabulary comprehension, conventional spelling, alphabetical order, decoding skills, fluency skills, inquiry and discovery, and collaboration. What ages and grades can use this strategy? So traditional word wall using high frequency or sight words would normally be used until students have developed their sight words fully. So probably should have this developed before they move into intermediate grades. Any age or grade level can utilize a word wall as part of their classroom in a variety of ways. So these variations can be used to highlight specific curricular content at any level if they are adapted and utilized correctly. So these are just some traditional ones. This one up here in the corner is a blank one. So later on I'll talk about steps to building a word wall. This would be how it would look when you would introduce your class to it. It would be empty, but it would be set up. This one here utilizes pictures in its display, which is also a really good idea for younger grades. And then this third one here has color coded the letters or the words according to the letter that it sits underneath, which I think is a really good idea. I found it on a blog where they were talking about the entire school using this strategy, and it seemed to transition the children really well throughout the grades because the word walls all kind of look the same, so they were used to it. So some variations on the word wall. So I have chosen a few for you. Word walls. So these are creative layout word walls. So these include a walking word wall, a word wall book, a word wall screen, interactive word walls, visual word walls. It's endless, really, what you can do with a word wall. So this one here is a visual word wall with pictures corresponding to the letter. This one here is a word wall book, so that can be taken, the students can have it at their desk, they could have it somewhere in the classroom. This here is an example of the interactive word wall, so you can practice spelling, you could practice reading on that word wall. This one here is a mobile, or I called it a word wall screen because it's kind of set up to be able to, you can move it in and out of the classroom, which I thought was really cool. If you don't have space on the walls or something, that could be a really good idea, or if you want to use it for a specific unit or something. And this one down here, I don't know if you can see, but they have little key rings so that you can take off the letter and they have the group of words under there. So that's the interactive or walking word wall. So, all right, hi guys, sorry, I just had to stop my recording and jump right back in. So continuing on with our variations, we have word walls by sound. So these are phonics word walls, articulation word walls, and alphabetical word walls, or kind of like sounding it out by the beginning sound. So I have two examples here. It was actually hard to find picture examples of this online, but I know that my mom, a teacher right now, is currently doing her first ever word wall by sound, and she said what a difference it's making in her class. So I knew that I had to include it in this presentation. So the first one here is just kind of by, this was, I think, the articulation one, and then this one was the phonics one. So I really liked this banner that said sound it out for the word wall. I would probably add that on any word wall. But I really liked how they kind of laid this one out. Again, they provide some pictures and they put it in kind of an order based on color. So if you can see on this one, they also highlighted the words that they're trying to find the sound of. So I thought that was a really clever addition for word walls. And the final variation I'll be introducing you to is a word wall for interdisciplinary studies. So this includes math word walls, PE and physical health, word walls, art word walls, what does this say down here? Sorry, literary word walls, and focus word walls. So I've included a few examples for you here. So this one is actually in the gym. So this is like PHE. This one is a nonfiction word wall. So I saw a lot of examples of this, different genres, any different subject. I saw a science word wall that I actually didn't include a picture of. This is our art word wall example, so different words that are associated with art. And then there is plenty of math word walls available, resources online. So I thought that was a really interesting one if you, maybe struggle a little bit with teaching math. So using word walls of all varieties. So how do we use these? So how to create a word wall. So these simple steps can be used to create any variation of word wall for any subject area. So all the ones that I showed you, you use these 4 basic steps to make. So first you prep your word wall. So this means conceptualizing it on your own, thinking of how you want to create it, and then, printing up all your words, high frequency words, art words, science words, math words, sounds. Anything that you want to prep, you have to prep it ahead of time, and then you'll put it up on your bulletin board before you introduce it to your class. So step 2 would be introducing it to your class. You would have the blank one like I showed you before you introduce it to your students. And then as you're introducing it to your students, you move on to step 3, which would be to add the words and to demonstrate how to use your word wall. So you can maybe pretend to look for words with them, practice using it. And then step 4 would be utilize it all year. All year. Try to use it as often as you can. Try to make it a daily occurrence in your school, in your class. So how to use word walls. So when and how do we use this strategy in our classroom? So we can use this strategy to help students build skills for fluency, decoding, phonics, comprehension, vocabulary, spelling, just to name a few. Teachers can use word walls to draw focus to particular curricular subject matter, focus in on units, or display high frequency words and important information. So you can keep adding to it too. Word walls must be taught to your students. Explain and demonstrate how to use the word wall, how new words will be added, and how it will help them with their studies if they use it like a tool. So really reinforce how if they use it, it can help them with so many things. So, and these are some tips that I found from a blog called Funky First Grade Fun. So we had some of these already, but some of them were really good tips. So add words in front of your students, point out any patterns that you find, compare words on the wall to each other and any new words, interact with the wall daily, use it during reading lessons, model using the wall during lessons or workshops, plan activities to use the word wall on a regular basis, and direct students to the word wall to check their spelling. So moving on was my idea for a word wall that I wanted to show you for my example. It's a Secwepemchin word wall. So last year I was working at a school and I had the chance to develop this word wall, or it was called a weekly focus wall, to introduce students to Secwepemchin every week. So I thought it would be really fun to develop into a word wall, and this is how I thought about doing it. So first, what would I do? So given the chance, I would love to incorporate Secwepemchin word wall into my future classroom. So features of my Secwepemchin word wall would be to have it in partnership alongside a traditional word wall. So I would have a traditional word wall in my class, and then I would also have a Secwepemchin one as kind of like a feature or to build on top of a traditional word wall, and this would come later on in the school year. So it would have a weekly focus on 5 areas of language: animals, family, color, numbers, and a word of the week, which would be a variety of things. So these words would be featured throughout their work and in the classroom calendar. So, for example, I would talk about the months. I would talk about the numbers of the, counting. I could use numbers. We'd talk about their family. When we would talk about, who's in their home, they're all about me's, maybe talking about themselves. There would also be a portable component for each area of focus with all of the words on a key ring. So I have a photo that I'll show you, and I did kind of steal that from one of the other variations of word walls. I kind of incorporated that into this one. I would also have a Secwepem alphabet calendar appearing on my word wall, as they do. The language does have a different alphabet than the English language. And students would be given a duotang for their own word wall book to store their own words. So again, I featured this on a variation page, and I think that it would be a good idea to have, if students find themselves continually saying things like little sister or grandma or bear or something like that, and they want to keep a copy of that in their desk so that they can quickly use it. I would give them the option of having a Secwepem word wall book for themselves. So this was my idea of how I would make a Secwepemchin word wall based on the weekly focus one that I had. So you can see here that I added at the bottom that I would add the portable component on key rings, just like we saw in one of the variations. I would add a Secwepem alphabet chart, which I took a picture of here. And then I also included this focus wall as an inspiration or ideas for how I could continue on, maybe for the word of the week, including shapes or themes or different sight words or different words that kept coming up. Maybe if we were studying salmon or something in our science unit, I would include it on the Secwepemchin word wall as well. And then something I just like to focus on, would be these little buttons here. I don't know if you can see them very clearly, but what it actually is, it's called a talking brick, I think. The school I worked at used to have these, and they're actually little speakers that you can re-record things on. So I would really like to have these in my future class, and it makes a really, really good addition to a word wall, especially something like this in a different language that they need kind of a reminder or a prompt. Even, for like in a kindergarten class, if you wanted to have a word wall by sound and you record the sound on the button so that they can click the button and hear what it is. So that was just my demonstration of what I would do to make a word wall, a non-traditional word wall. So I hope that you enjoyed it. And Yuritz Kukstechem, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I appreciate your time. I know it was a little long, but I hope that you had some takeaways. Thank you.